Kangas, the team that plays to win for you and me.
Welcome back, Shimboners. On today's pod, we will be reviewing Thursday night's game against the Dogs, answering your listener questions. We'll have all our regular segments, the Bestie, the watch list, and of course, to help me get through it all, the Big Chief. Chief, welcome, and what were your thoughts on the pre-game celebrations on Thursday night?
Yeah, it was very good. Very good to see all the old players there. And a lot of my men were there, weren't they?
They were.
Yeah, Shimmer, Greg, Dench, Jack. Jack was back.
Arch.
Goldie. Goldie got the day off from Essendon. He'd have been happy to be away from that club, wouldn't he?
Yeah, and they even got the players who didn't like the media that much. Ben Cunnington was there. That was great to see.
He got interviewed.
Yeah, Andrew Swide. Good to see him there.
Yes, it would have been great to be at the game. And, of course, we covered last pod. We were meant to be there when it was going to be against Geelong, but they changed it on us. But it was a good TV spectacle. I thought they did it really well.
Just innovating again, the North Melbourne Footy Club. We'll get to Denis in your biggest takeaway, but first time I've ever seen a former coach mic'd up to give a pre-game rev up, and wow, that was fantastic. But we'll get to that in your biggest takeaway, just a little spoiler, but I'll start with mine. And my biggest takeaway from the game was that the young Joeys had a fair dinkum crack. It was the youngest side put out by any team this year. We know the extensive injuries we had out, a lot of inexperience coming in with like your likes of Finbar and Cooper Harvey, people who hadn't played 5 games yet. And I think the scoreboard at the end, the 49-point loss, really didn't do justice to how in the game we were and our work around the contest and clearance. And obviously with LDU going down early as well, there's experience 100 and odd games and our best mid going out. Yep. And then late in the game with X going down as well. But we'll touch on that later in the match notes. But that's sort of my biggest takeaway is that our young Shimboners had a fair income crack, and we'll talk at length about my man Shotgun Will Dawson. But before that, what was your biggest takeaway?
Well, Dennis has still got it. That pre-game speech. I was very emotional listening to that. I was ready to jump on the plane and get over there for the end of the first quarter. I was pumped, as I think were everyone listening to it. And unfortunately, 2 minutes into the game, we were 2 goals down. So maybe it was too emotional for them. But they did fight back, and I was proud of them. They won the first quarter. But yeah, Dennis, the passion is still there.
Oh, it was as good a moment as I've seen in my time watching footy. Like, you're right, it's so emotional. Seeing him, he was on the verge of tears, Dennis himself, and it was a really special moment. So well done to the club and everyone involved, not only for Dennis's speech, but the way they did the whole pre-game celebrations with the 4 men's flags and obviously the AFLW from last year as well. It was great.
So don't tell me it doesn't mean anything to these people when they get that emotional. He hasn't been at the club for what? Since the early 2000s, so let's say 20 years in an official capacity. It's still burning in there.
Do you know what my favourite part was? When he said, a lot of you blokes have a lot to answer for after last week.
He's still dirty on last week. I love it. There's no hiding from Dennis.
Yeah, and what
Well, actually, you know who hid from him?
Clarko.
No, the Shinbone of the Century, Arch. When the 97 prelim, when they got beaten, and Arch was suspended. And so was Schwass, I think. And they would have come back for the grand final. And they're walking off the ground, defeated Premier League finalists. And Arch thought, not having Dennis walk past me and give me a spray. And Schwatter had a bit too much sticker and stood there and took it. And next thing he's traded. So, nowhere to hide from Dennis. And I like the way he said when he sprays people, he just points at the whole group, so they don't know who he's spraying. They all think, oh shit, he's having a go at me, I better straighten up.
And there's some great stories through the week on radio and also on Fox in the pre-game about how Kingy was petrified of him, and the whole group were.
Yes, it was Kingy with his size 9 hat for a size 15 head or whatever it was. It was good.
Yeah, don't piss down my back and tell me it's raining. So many great Dennis quotes.
Yes, I love it. And yeah, he had the passion, he had the tears in the eyes, he had tears in the mouth, a bit of spit coming out. It was fire and brimstone.
Oh, it was magnificent. It was such a special moment, and lots of comments across social media from friends of mine as well that don't support North about how well it was done, and the fantastic moment that it was.
Yeah, I loved it. Lighting up all the cups individually and celebrating them. Wish we had more to celebrate, but it was good. It was done really well on TV, and hopefully it came across if you're at the ground.
Well, from the listeners that we have and people across social media said it was just as amazing at the ground.
Yeah, good.
You could hear the crowd.
Yeah, the crowd was a good noise for what was a disappointing crowd.
Yeah, we'll touch on that.
Get to the negatives. It was a bit disappointing.
Later on. Right, let's get into the match notes. And the first quarter, North kicked 5 goals to the Doggies 4 goals to. As you touched on briefly before, it was a shocking start. 2 goals conceded in 2 minutes, and you're just sitting there thinking, with what we've been through as a supporter base, watching big time games, Good Friday, etc., and just being out of it really early, it was major concerns.
Yeah, especially after that pump-up speech, it brought us flat pretty quick, didn't it? But the young Joeys responded, led by Big Suv.
Yeah, well, there's another guy I want to talk on first, which created our first goal, and it was Jacob Constanti. We've been a little bit harsh on him at times, whether it's fair or not, we'll let you at home decide, but he had a chase on Bailey Dale where it would have been easy just to do the token chase, which we've seen plenty of times, but he never gave up, followed him round for the little handball, which we said that in our preview pod that they had to be hot on.
Yep.
Worked his ass off, got to Dale, didn't tackle him, but put enough pressure on, created the turnover and created the first goal. So big hats off to him. But yeah, Nick Larkey, he was the man of the moment, wasn't he? 4 first quarter goals, some great service from Paul Curtis and co, and he was on.
PC hit him out twice, really good over the back, which is fine to get him over the back, and he also took some contested marks, one-on-one. Big Suv.
It was the best game I've seen from him in terms of contested marking. Like there was 2 in the first half where he was outnumbered at full forward and he just clunked him. And that's not his forte, is it?
No.
Like he's a hit up or out the back operator, but
Yeah.
he was really strong and he was looking like he was going to kick 10.
Yes, and he should have had 5 in the first quarter. I don't know how he missed that one after the siren. It was reminding me of Drew in Archer's 300th when he kicked 6 in the first. And that was against the Doggies as well.
Yeah, was that his 300th or his 250? No, it was his 300th, wasn't it?
And he kicks, that was against the Doggies as well. He's playing on Brian Lake.
Yes.
Anyway, we were about this game, but yeah, he was on fire. And I don't know how, all the shots were from about 15 metres out. I don't know how he missed that last one.
We rushed it.
Yeah, why?
They hadn't even finished the replay and he's
I know.
playing with his hair.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a quarter from him. And unfortunately, he got that injury knock and did a great job to play the rest of the game through that.
Yes, that's courageous to keep playing. As we know, we'd already used our sub. Mitch Cleary didn't quite realise that when he interviewed Clarko at the half-time.
Yeah, big tick for Clarko for that.
Yeah, that was
just
good.
clipping him.
Give me a clip.
Well, we've already used our sub, so we'd have to be 1 down. And Tony said it.
You better explain it for those who are at the game. They wouldn't have heard it on 7.
Well, at half-time, Mitch Cleary interviewed Clarko quickly and said, have you thought about subbing Nick Larkey off? And he said, well, we've already used our sub, so we're not going to play 1 down, basically is what he said. It was the way he said it too.
It was a good clip.
Yeah, it was. It was very good. But lots of positives, so we'll focus on them in that first quarter. I thought Riley Hardiman was fantastic. Quite weak from him last week. He really responded. Shotgun, Will Dawson took a great intercept mark early, and he absolutely owned Sam Darcy, which was the big concern in Game 5, as tough a challenge as there is in footy. And I thought his body work was impressive, his spoils. He probably was a bit lucky that there wasn't a few chops called, but we'll get to the umpiring because, oh my God, in that second half particularly. But I thought his body work, and I know Sam Darcy went on radio after the game and said he was really impressed with the way Dawson defended. So,
oh, nice. I thought Dawson was awesome. Just awesome. And we obviously did our preview pod before the teams dropped, and we were hoping Chom would come in to take that matchup, but we knew it'd be Dawson if Chom didn't get up. So just great from a, 4th or 5th gamer on the most dangerous tall forward in the competition.
Mm. And you need your leaders to stand up, particularly LDU subbed off really early, but I thought Tristan Sherry's first quarter was huge. I mean, I know English did kick those 2 goals early, but Sherry was just a clearance machine with LDU off and their strong midfield, the Doggies. He wasn't even giving him a chance. He was bodying English, grabbing it, and then just getting it forward, and really worked for us.
Well, English's only weapon against him is to run off him. which is what he did. And for his second goal, I thought he was unlucky. X was in the shot, but the ball just fell English's way, so sometimes that happens.
Well, X was on the goal line. He was where he needed to be.
Yeah.
Wasn't he?
No, he was next to him. He was playing him in front, but it fell to his left. And it just fell the way of English, so I gave English an 80% chance. X were 20%. So the first one, English got probably 5 metres off him, running back towards goal, and took a good contested mark back with a flight.
But all the boys were applying themselves that way, and someone who has copped it for maybe not going when it's his time across his journey so far at North Melbourne is Dill Stevens, and he had a fantastic moment where he went back with the flight in front of Sam Darcy, got the spoil. My man shotgun kicked at about 60, and it ended up with Larky's fourth. So if he doesn't do that, the Doggies are having a shot, and that lead extends. But everyone has obviously had the Denis Pagan speech ringing in their ears because that was a great moment for Disco. And we know he's improved and got a lot of the ball and been sound with ball in hand, but his defensive side of his game is really going unnoticed.
Yeah, it's improved from we were pretty hard on him last year, and therefore we didn't have him in our best 23 to start this year. But he's improved that. He's going when he has to most of the time.
I don't think he's had a bad moment this year.
Yeah, well, fair enough. I don't know. He's probably had one or two, maybe. I don't know. But he probably had one or two a quarter last year, so he's certainly improved in that space. And his last 2 weeks, he's probably been down a bit on possessions, but he's still getting mid-teens.
And Baz's big call wins. Obviously, the big call was we'd win the first quarter, and that's what we did.
Yep.
Right, so there's a few negatives, of course, from that quarter. I thought Colby McKercher had some really questionable turnovers where just trying to do too much. And it was the short kicking as well. Like, he missed them by a mile. Will Phillips, I've been huge on him coming back, but he just had to stick those tackles. He looked off the pace from the first bounce and just too many missed tackles. I know the Doggies midfield are elusive and really probably in the top 3 midfields in the comp, but when that's his forte coming in, his defensive pressure and the likes, I just thought he needed to stick a few more early.
Yep. Put his stamp on the game and he couldn't really do that.
And there was a few times where he got bodied off the ball a little bit easy as well, with particularly when LDU went down. The bigger bodies in the Dogs midfield monstered us at times until X changed.
Yeah, well, X just said, I'll do it out of the ruck. I'll just get it, push English out of the way and grab it and surge it forward. And it worked for us. Certainly worked for Larky, 1 out.
Right, let's get to the second quarter where we kicked 3 goals, 1. The Doggies kicked 6 goals, 2. Start with the negatives. Caleb Daniel had a shocking turnover to start the second quarter, which just... I think he thought he was playing for the Dogs. Kicked it straight to them and over his head for a goal.
Yeah. The thing with Daniel is if you're going to be a 25-metre kick, it's not damaging, but you've got to at least hit it. So if you turn it over, it's terrible.
Well, I was listening to Fireball with Kane and Kingy yesterday on the radio, and Kingy summed it up perfectly. He's the worst best kick in the AFL.
Worst good kick, I think, was what you told me. Yeah, and I think that's true. Too many errors. For someone who's only kicking at 25 to 30 metres.
Exactly, and he's getting... We know defensively he's not great.
No.
And he's getting a lot of handball receives and taking a lot of kick-ins and just not being effective enough with it. And when we've got McKercher and Hardiman down there, I don't know, I think he's right on the edge of being dropped.
Yeah, well, he burnt McKercher a few times. It was really... He'll give you that drive, that run, the aggressive kick. Sometimes it doesn't come off, but the only time we looked super... Like we could move the ball fast and effectively was when McKercher or Hardiman had it. We don't get that from Daniel because they're just 25-metre chip kicks and then it start again, or you run past, get a handball and do the same.
But if you're going to play him,
but he burnt Colby a couple of times where he should have released the handball. He had Colby on the outside on his left foot, and he didn't release him. He's got to be directed. Give the handball to Colby, in my opinion.
But if you're going to play him with the defensive liability that he is, to be honest, you expect some sort of offensive weapon. And he's just hitting safe kicks, and when he bites it off, he's turning it off.
That's why I want to give it to Colby, because Colby will run. He'll run his 10 or 15, maybe have a bounce if the space is there, and then use it, run and receive it, whereas Daniel's too slow to run and receive. I mean, he can, but it's a slow play. It's not a fast play, and it's not opening the game up. It's not getting over that first layer of defenders because it's only a 20 to 40 metre play. If he gets a handball receive, it's not a long enough play to get over that line of defence.
He doesn't drive with his legs. He relies on his ball use, and it's just not up to standard at the moment.
I mean, we like him because he's safe, but he's not being safe enough, as you said, with that bad turnover. So, and when we've got weapons like Colby, he's really in good form, and Hardiman's shown enough to think he'll kick at 55. He'll kick at 55 flat and quick.
Oh, he's awesome.
So that's, I think...
he should never play a VFL game again.
Well, I wouldn't say again, but...
Keep him in.
Okay. You'll have him on the watch list in 2 weeks.
No, I won't, because you know why?
We're not allowed to.
He's awesome. He's an awesome defender as well.
Yeah, no, yes.
Right, who's next in the firing line in these negatives? Griffin Logue. My God, man. He's got no idea how to defend. He doesn't put anybody on. And then Norton took him to the cleaners in the second quarter. And there was one that really annoyed me where they hit a little chiseler. And obviously, the game plan, he was being mindful of Darcy as well to try and help. I will give him an out there, but they hit a little chiseler to Norton, and he's looking around blaming everyone else. Mate, that's your man.
Yeah, exactly. Come on. And yeah, beat your man first, get over and help. You don't want to be selfish. It's a team game. You've got to play to the team structures, but you can't give someone like Norton and a team like the Dogs, they're not just going to kick it to Darcy because he's standing there. It's not North Melbourne kicking it to Sylph every fight, as much as they can. They will lower their eyes and hit the best target. And Norton's not a bad second option, is he? He's probably the best second option in the league.
And if Chom's right to go next week, it's got to be Logue that makes way.
Oh, yeah. I'm not shotgun. Well, we'll see later what I thought of him. He was very good.
Robbie Hanson Jr. had a poor moment in that second quarter as well, where he just didn't apply himself defensively and got stepped too easily with a half-assed tackle, to be honest.
Yeah, just not enough pressure. Too easily stepped for someone who's quick and cost us a goal.
But there was
just these little half moments that's where we've got to improve.
There was plenty of positives in this second quarter too, but I'll just round out the negatives to finish. And those 2 red time goals killed us.
Yep.
And unfortunately, both times it had one of my favourite players involved, Tom Powell. The first one to Bontempelli, he was asleep, and Bont killed him off the spread. And the second one looked bad on TV. I would have loved to see behind the goals footage or not, but there was a moment where it appeared he didn't bodyline the ball, where Ed Richards got the pill.
Yeah.
After shotgun didn't back up off the mark, a bit of inexperience there, and Darcy got the smother. Now, it could have been the bounce of the ball that made it look worse on TV, but it didn't look great, did it?
It didn't. No, I think he didn't bodyline as best. I don't think Dennis would be happy with it. Can we just say that? Will we leave it there?
Yeah.
I don't think Denis Pagan would have been happy with that effort, and I think if he had it again, he could go better.
Well, it looked terrible, but
at least
I don't want to cook him.
At least have a collision. Like the fact that Richards gathered the ball, the loose ball, they both sort of got there simultaneously, and then was able to run forward. You just got to bounce him to the ground. So you got to take the body.
The last negative I've got is Bailey Scott. I thought he was really good, right? He come back and he ran the wings hard, got involved in the chain, but he had a moment where he missed a handball to Hardiman, who was standing from you to I-way. It was about 30 centimetres, and he dropped it straight on the ground, missed him, and then Colby had to pick it up. But luckily, he was behind him, but it ended up being a turnover Dogs goal. So
yeah, it's the
simple things we didn't do well.
Yeah, and that's unfortunately pretty much sums Bailey Scott up. Like his work rate's never questioned, but his disposal efficiency can be.
Right, let's touch on some positives, because it still was a decent quarter for us despite Norton's domination. Colby was huge, and Hardiman with our use out of half-back. Harry Sheasel really got going, had some great kicks inside 50 to hit up leading forwards. Larky took another contested mark on one leg basically and slotted through his 5th. And we really lifted at times as well. We looked challenged. We could have easily rolled over, as we've seen in the past, and be down 5 or 6 goals at half time, but we responded and we were in front until that last couple of minutes where the Dogs kicked some red time goals, which we actually kicked red time goals in the first quarter, which is a nice change.
That got your call up. They must have backed that in. They must have backed Baz's big call in. They really worked hard for that. Another positive was Bont. He was pretty poor in the first half, so I think Tommy Powell was on him at times, so a big tick there.
And Will as well.
And Will Phil.
But just on Bont, a stat that people may not know, it was the first game in 7 years that Bontempelli hasn't had a clearance.
Yeah, so that's a massive win for us. Massive. I know he ended up with 25, which sort of surprised me. But it
took me.
I think he only had 6 or 7 in the first half. I haven't got the stats, but I know they did mention during the call how quiet he'd been, and it was noticeable because mostly we noticed him breaking from stoppage and racing people out, if not kicking them himself.
Another positive, I thought someone who definitely listened to Dennis's pre-game intently was the Bull, the raging Bull. He was taking bodies, applying strong tackles. Obviously, he's absolutely collided with Richards to start the third quarter. But I thought he was good. He finished off the goals when he needed to. Was unlucky to miss that one on the three-quarter time side.
Yeah, he hit the post, didn't he? Yeah, we needed that right then. We were just hanging on, weren't we?
Right, let's touch on some third quarter stuff. Baby Boomer, what a goal.
Yes.
I can't believe he had a shot. I didn't think he had the journey in him.
No, well, there's a bit of debate whether it was a shot or not, whether he was just top of the square. But
he was having a shot. He's a Harvey. He wasn't passing.
From 50 on the boundary. Yeah, great goal.
And let's sort of just go off topic and touch on him. I thought he was really good. I mean, then he went back in the last quarter. I was really happy with his game, and I'd rather persist with him than play some others.
Well, he's still only 20. I mean, you forget that, probably because of the name, and he's been on the list a few years, but he's still only 20. So, yeah, he showed enough for me. Came in the big moment, and
his ball use was good. He's just clever.
He was better than serviceable, wasn't he? Like,
he's got a good footy IQ.
Yeah. Oh, he's definitely got that. I think his X factor is his footy smarts. So, and no wonder.
Yeah, because he's not quick.
He's not super quick, or he's not. Yeah, he's just average sort of AFL standard. He's a good mark, but he's undersized. But I think it's his footy IQ and smarts around goal, which may be his little bit of X factor he's got over his average AFL player.
But there was plenty of positives in that third quarter. Cam Zerha had a great running carry, which led to Robbie Hanson Jr.'s goal. Will Dawson continued to be really physical with Sam Darcy.
Well, Will Dawson was flogging Darcy. I'm happy to call that.
Well, he did.
Yeah, and I think Robbie Hanson Jr. He missed the tackle. We mentioned that, but the positive, he set up a goal with really clean hands, ground ball gather, then good handball to someone in space. I can't remember who it was, but I think that led to a goal as well.
Yeah, and Daniel had more silly mistakes. Colby's ball use was hit and miss all night, but the caveat there is at least he's taking ground and
he's not missing,
taking on the hard kicks.
Yeah, he's taking on super hard kicks. And his run and carry, I mean, I don't know how we get it out of the back line without him. I mean, I know Hardiman was good as well, but I mean, Colby had mid-30s in possessions. He was just round the back, cleaning up the mess, the ground balls, and taking it on all night. So, Daniel doesn't provide that. I know we're probably going hard on him again, but without that run and dash from Colby, it'd be very stagnant coming out of there. And Hardman's a year behind Colby, but we're liking what he's showing.
Oh, and he's better defensively.
Oh, yes,
both,
he is.
Yeah.
He's a natural defender. That was his under-18s role. Colby's under-18s role was a hit-to midfielder.
Yeah, burst away, kick, snags.
Well, yeah, and don't worry about defence because I'm the number one.
Well, actually, while we've just talked about that, how good was his goal?
Yeah.
He makes it harder for himself. If you've ever noticed, when he has a run on the left side, he runs towards the boundary.
Well, it's a bit of the buddy arc.
It is,
if you like. But I think that's just natural for the left footers, or even the right footers. You sort of run that little bit of an arc. But
he's kicked 9-1 this year.
Yeah, no, he's good. He had a quiet patch there for a month or so, but he's been really good.
Well, it's because they moved him to half forward, and that's where he should be.
Well, it's a dead man zone, especially in a team that's not top 8.
Exactly. And we'll touch on Zane Dersmer at some point as well, because that's the role he was left to play. But
he is a natural forward, though. That was his spot in the under-18, so it's not it's not foreign to him.
No, but it's a dead man zone in a poor team.
Yeah.
And then we talk about our classy users, and Harry Sheasel, 1 goal, 2, or he kicked 1-1 and 1 didn't score. And he's kicked, I think, 4 goals, 9,
Yeah,
4 goals, 8.
His set shot goal kicking hasn't been great this year.
No.
I don't know why, because it should be his. I mean, he's another one who's drafted as a forward, and he's a good field kick, so his goal kicking should be good.
But I said to you over the phone at half time or 3/4 time, whatever it was, that we always compare him to Nick Dacos, and the reality is he would have kicked all 3.
Yeah, well, Dacos' kicking's not great either, but probably set shot it's better, isn't it?
He's kicking for goals, really good.
Yeah, okay.
But we'll move on. Someone who I think needs a lot of praise, I was really impressed with, was Finbar Maley. What a game he had. I think Kane on the call said at one point it was the best 2 disposal half ever.
Did he?
Because he just kept bringing it to ground. There were so many times where he looked like he was out of position and he'd just force his way through it. It looked like an intercept mark, and he'd come in and bring it to ground and let our mids and small forwards get to work. And I was really happy with his game. Took a huge clunk. Drilled it from a bit of an angle where I thought he was no chance.
Yeah.
But he did everything right. He dropped 1 chesty, but that's fine. He's in game 3 or 4, whatever it is. Like, that's going to happen. Nick Larkey dropped about 8 on his debut. I was there. But I was really impressed with his game, and I thought he fought well in the ruck as well.
Yeah, yes. No, he dropped 1 pud, but, we forgive that, I suppose.
Probably not used to it being put on the tit.
No. But he's got a set shot routine, which I like, and he's obviously quickened it up a bit from against Essendon, where it cost him.
We had to.
And, I like it. He's a lot better than he used to be in the VFL, where even from 25 out, you'd spray them. Now he's got the set shot, scratches the ground, goes back, and obviously he's got a straighter leg when he drops it, leg pointing where he wants it to go, rather than kicking across it, and he can do that from short range, like within 30. So hopefully he's going to be safe from within 30.
I thought he was really good, and someone else who doesn't get a lot of praise, but I thought Constanti's job on Bailey Dale was fantastic.
Yeah, it was.
Completely nullified him. He ended up moving to the wing and half forward and kicked a couple of goals where either the halfback or wingman was asleep.
Yeah.
But just big credit to Constanti for his defensive job.
Yeah, no, really good. Because we mentioned in the preview how dangerous Dale can be, and they like the ball in his hands because he's such a good user and will take ground quickly. And
that's why we didn't see us get cut up from the rebound 50s in that first half, because we limited his ball use. Well, we just got smashed around the contest.
First 2 goals we did, that's what I was worried, because I thought, here we go, it's the Hawthorn game all over again. They're just getting cheapies out the back because we turn it over and then can't defend the turnover. But after the first 90 seconds, we managed to straighten that up a lot. It became a bit of a shootout type game, didn't it? But it was exciting. But I thought our younger list, as you said, the younger side, and without LDU, one of our most damaging players, it was going to be hard to maintain for the 4, which is what we saw. Well,
the average age took a hit, didn't it? When Hanson Jr. came on as the sub, and LDU would be one of our most senior players.
We'd already lost 26. Already lost Darling and Parker. Anyway, if we're on to the 4th, I think the big negative, I don't know how much time he missed, but obviously they kicked away in the 4th. We only kicked the 1 goal, and a lot of that's X not being out there, I think, because he was controlling the stoppages.
He was.
On his own, pretty much.
I didn't take many notes in the last quarter, but the umpiring was horrific. Like, Cam Zerhard takes a great Jared Waite style floating in mark. Nothing paid. Bont got chased down by Willfield, just threw it out. Nothing paid. The umpiring, particularly number 35, you're in trouble, son, if I see you at a game anytime soon. But he was horrendous. The umpiring was horrific. And even the neutrals across the socials were just free kick bulldogs. So
yeah, well, I think even the Channel 7 commentators, who obviously have a company line, AFL line to toe, weren't happy with a Zerha non-free or non-mark.
It had to be a mark or chopping the arms.
Yeah, take your pick. And, the Willfield, that was inconsistent, because I I don't know if it was Griff Logan or it was someone from ours got tackled as soon as they got it. Like, no prior, and there was a free kick. And yet Bond had...
Probably Paul Griff.
Yeah, I can't
as if he wasn't having a bad enough night.
I know. But, the Bond, he had
superstar tax.
He took a few steps and didn't get rid of it, and no free.
That was LDU.
Just a ball up, wasn't it? Or was it just play on?
Yeah,
anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, well, I mean, the umpires didn't cost us, but they didn't help us, as usual.
And it's just the common theme. We never get the rub of the green.
No, I don't get the rub of the green. And
we need the help. We're the poor team.
It's the inconsistencies of the 50-50s that, it's play on if it should be our free, and it's a free if it's the same thing and it goes against us. Too often.
Do you know my favourite moment of the last quarter? Was when Cooper Harvey kicked it to himself from a kick out.
Ah, yes. Sat padding, you reckon?
Do you reckon he's trying to get two?
I reckon Dad said, look, if you take a kick out, kick it to yourself, there's one, and run 15, kick it again, and you got 2 kicks.
Oh, that was good. The old-fashioned kick it into yourself before playing on.
Yes. Must have been watching his dad back in the day.
Yeah, I don't reckon he took too many kick-ins.
He probably did. 1-2, all the way up the ground. Goal of the year.
Right, before we touch on the next segment, I just want to talk about the Tristan Sherry one where he got punched in the noggin by Darcy in that ruck contest, and then obviously looked rattled, but he's been cleared of concussion. He passed the test. It was a really strange one, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I'm glad he's passed because we couldn't ill afford not to have him going up against Big Max. So hopefully he'll be right to get through. I mean, he's been cleared of concussion, but I suppose he's still got to get through training and be 100%, and he'll come out next Sunday. We get a bit of a break before the next game.
10 days.
Yeah, so hopefully we get a few back and don't lose any. Obviously, unfortunately, we're going to lose LDU.
Yeah, well, hopefully we can get Parker back, if that's the case.
Yes.
What it does mean, though, the LDU injury, just to touch on that quickly before we move on, is another game for Will Phillips, you'd imagine.
Yeah.
Because I can't see them bringing George back after just one game. I mean, he will... Technically, he can, but I think they'll take a cautious approach.
I agree. Right, this must lead into the most prestigious award in all of the AFL, the Bestie.
Right, I'm taking the New Rock this week.
Okay.
And straight off the top, I'm giving 5 votes to Nick Larkey. I thought he was fantastic. 5 goals, 1. Best game I've seen him in terms of contested marking, and a big tick to him. Would have been easy to say, my knee's cooked. He'd had that knock to it and sit out, but he kept on competing, didn't really get outmarked. I thought for him to soldier on and continue to present and create a contest, a big tick to him, and good to see him kick 10 goals in the last 2 weeks. Yep. And fun fact, he kicked 5-1, exact same score as he did in round 1 against the Dogs.
Yes, very good. No, he was good, Nick. Who's your 4?
4 to my man, Will Dawson. Thought he was awesome. Darcy kicked 4 in the end, but I reckon only one of them was on shotgun. Because he had to go to the ruck for a while X was off. And Darcy just junk time goals, wasn't it? So Will Dawson definitely beat Sam Darcy, who's the unicorn. He's the greatest player ever, if you listen to the commentary. They were raving on about his smother, like no one's ever hit a smother over 200 centimetres. But no, I was really impressed with his game. He's got to play the rest of the year regardless. Just keep him in, get that exposure. You can see the size that he's put on, and I was really impressed with his body work, positioning, and he was a bit Mickey Martin-like, wasn't it? Just kick it as long as you can. I reckon he tried to see, can I kick the leather off the footy? Because he was just putting everything he had into it. But in saying that, though, when he got the ball after a mark, his ball use was really good. So really happy with his game. The 3 votes I gave to Colby McKercher. He had 32 disposals and a goal. A few turnovers, but you can cop that when he's actually creating and not like Daniel, where he's missing, down the line kicks, easier kicks. So a couple of moments crept in again where he probably needed to hold the ball and take the stoppage, but he's still only young, so learning curve for him. Like you mentioned, he's been... in his under-18s, the player who's just exploded and probably not had to do a lot of defending. No. So still learning curve for him. But I gave him the 3 votes. 2 votes I gave to Big X. I thought he battled manfully, really changed the game for us in that first quarter. He had the 17, the 5 tackles, the 30 hit-outs, and just trying to load his clearances here. He got 7 clearances as well. So Really happy with his game. And the one vote could have gone to a few players. Probably Cam a bit stiff that the umpires didn't pay the marks. Probably would have got him in if he had have slotted that one. But I gave the one vote to Stiffy Hardiman. 20 disposals. Thought his defensive work was really good. 523 metres gained. He does it on both sides of the ball, to use an NBA term. But I thought offensively and defensively, big tick, and another one that you just got to keep getting games into because these kids are seriously talented.
Yes, well done. I agree with those. I've sort of got a different order. So I've gone 5 to Colby. I thought he was a four-quarter player. Not everyone could be a four-quarter player, but due to injuries and things. But and just as I said earlier, just the only one, or not the only one, but gave us a lot of drive, looked to attack. I mean, I just like that mindset of take them on. You know, don't be timid with the ball. Let's take them on and see what we can do. I go 4 to Larky. I mean, he was on track for all the votes at quarter time. He just got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He was going that well, but unfortunately hurt his knee. Sort of hobbled him a bit, obviously, but still did enough to get the 4. 3 to Shotgun. I found these votes really hard. Like they could have, we've got different orders. They could have been different. Shotgun, played on their most dangerous player. Not a high possession game, but what's the first thing you do, Dennis?
Beat your man.
You beat your man, and he did that. And as you said, Darcy got a couple of junk times, and he wasn't even on him at that time. Junk time goals, that is. So Shotgun, really good, really good, and you're playing the season. I don't want to see Core coming in for him. I don't want to see him being dropped and keeping low. Let's look at the future, Clarko.
You've never seen me fire up like you will on this pod if they play Core or low.
Yeah, let's get games into him. Let's get him into the double figures by the end of the year. What, there are 8 games left?
Yep.
Yeah, let's give him 8.
That was only game number 5 for him.
Yeah, so he's had 2 in a row. Let's give him the next 8 as well. 2 to X. I don't know how he fell down so low. Well, I do because he missed a big chunk of the last quarter, but he could have easily been up there for the 5, but he's got 2. Just so pivotal round, and I think that's why we lost the last quarter so badly because we didn't have him in there for the majority of it fighting for the ball. And one was really hard. Stiffy was stiff to miss out for mine. Probably Cam needed 1 extra goal. I've landed on Harry Sheasel. He cops a bit of a Harry tax most of the year, and I thought he's had 7 score involvements, I think. It would have been nice if he kicked 2-1. I think he kicked 1-2.
We kicked 1-1 and 1 no score.
Oh, there you go. So, yeah, he could have need to finish a bit better, but I'll land on him for the 1.
Right, so let's have a look at the leaderboard. We'll start in 5th. Nick Larkey. He's had 19 out of a possible 20 in the last fortnight. He's shot up to 5th position on 34 votes. Luke Parker in 4th on 39, even though he missed. Colby McKirch is in 3rd on 41 votes. Harry Sheasel in 2nd on 42 votes. And the standout leader, as he has been all year, Tristan Sherry on 78 in 1st position.
Yep, my man, Big X.
Right, let's go to the watch lists, which is the one you don't want to be on.
No. Well, we'll start with Bailey Scott, who's back in the side. What are your thoughts?
I don't think he's a tick, but I thought he was serviceable.
Yeah.
He just needs to get those 1 or 2 crap turnovers out of his game, and he would have been a tick.
So he'll get a dash.
I think he'll play next week.
So it's tick if you've been good. It's dash if you've been serviceable. And it's obviously a cross if you're not living up to the standard, which is why you're on the list to start with. Griff Logue.
Well, he's a cross.
He's a
He's
cross.
got 5 kicked on him again. It's not necessarily the amount of goals he's getting kicked on him. It's the fact that he's not doing the first thing you're taught as a defender. There's no body work. You had Chol last week, who's an athletic player. Norton this week, who loves a run and jump.
Yep.
You've got to put your arm across and put some body pressure on him. I understand that there was probably a direction from the defensive coach to try and stand in front of Sam Darcy as well. But when Norton was on a hot streak and kicked 4 in that quarter, you think you'd pay him a little bit more respect and attention than what was there. So,
and I will say on Norton, we've seen him miss goals from 10 metres out. But he kicked everything, didn't he? He's kicking from the boundary, he's kicking from everywhere.
It's like Charles Royce last week.
Yes. But, yeah, a bit of pressure would have been nice on him. Nick Larkey, well, obviously gets a massive tick. Core's still injured. The North Lawyers are on there.
Haven't talked about them because we haven't had to, but
No.
there's something you want to bring up.
Well, what do we think of LDU's concussion? I think we have differing opinions.
Well, we do, because I'm happy with it not being a suspension because it's a football act. But you can't say that. My problem with it is you can't say that and then give Archer 3 weeks and Curtis 3 weeks. So I think in an ideal world, I have no issue with it not being suspension. But the issue with it is, and us particularly as North fans, is we've had 2 similar sort of incidences be 3-week suspensions.
Yeah, so the MRO can sit down, analyse everything, watch, they've got, 24 hours or 48 hours to make a decision on it, watch every angle. Still are inconsistent. Because PC does a great tackle, ends up in a concussion, 3 weeks. Richards contests the ball, gets there first, wins the ball, but he does raise his forearm.
I agree.
Causes a concussion. Nothing to see here.
Yeah.
So what's to stop the next bloke going for the high fend off, getting someone in the head and concussing him, and then it's the same as Richards. That's my concern with it. I don't want footy going soft, but he did raise his arm. Now, if he had grabbed the ball and just tucked in and he hit his shoulder or his arm tucked in, that's play on. But when you start to raise that arm to get the bumper bar up and it causes a concussion, earlier in the year, that's 3 weeks. And now it's play on.
Well, I think that's the thing.
Dusty Martin will come back and just forearm everyone in the head. Don't argue, and it'll be play on, will it? When they're concussed.
And there's a bit
because we're too reactionary with the concussion. We see a lot of incidents. The player plays on, nothing to see here. This one's concussed, same incident, 3 weeks.
Yeah, they're not. They need to suspend the action, not the outcome.
Yeah.
But in this case, the outcome's still a concussion.
Yeah.
But the precedent they'd set is the outcome. So it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that earlier in the year you can suspend players because it resulted in a concussion.
Yeah.
But with this one, you have a player concussion, you don't suspend. And
Yeah.
they're definitely...
It's not consistent with the PC ruling.
No, it's
where
not.
he did
Or the
it.
Archer one.
No, he did they did a great tackle. Archer just attacked the ball, got his knees taken out. It should be a free kick. And 3 weeks for both of them.
Well, they can get stuffed, the MRO, because they've cooked his season, Archer.
Yeah.
Since then. He injured again yesterday in a moon boot
In the VFL.
after the VFL. So really frustrating.
Yes, anyway, okay, we'll move on. That's 50-50 for me, but we lost our best midfielder for the game.
No, I understand your points, but I'm saying...
He does raise his arm, like on replay, and I thought they'd look at it.
But you can't say that's a football act, which is what they said, the MRO, and then have the Archer and PC one. That's the most frustrating thing from my perspective.
You know what I think they should get? Credits.
Yeah.
I think they should get credits. If it's less than a 2-week suspension, normally they can go hell for the.
I think PC should just go out and tap Watson next time they play, or Bapley or something.
and he's got 2 weeks credit.
Yeah.
Right, I'm on the watch list. My phone is on silent, has not gone off, so I'm giving myself a tick.
Well, you did that last time and then it went off.
Yeah, but I've crossed that.
Yeah.
So I need a couple more. Fisher is on there. He was out managed. Hamstring managed.
What a crock of shit.
Yeah.
Just tell us he's dropped, because he would have been anyway.
Yeah. Okay, and the last one who went on last week, he's a 2-time member of the watch list, which is what you don't want, is the head coach, Clarko.
Big tick for Clarko.
Right.
He cooked Mitch Cleary at half time and then subtly cooked the umpires in the in the post game. So what he said, basically, for those who haven't seen, is they were asking him about Tristan Sherry.
Yep.
And he said the 2 things I can't comment on that I'm not an expert at was concussion, and then he also brought up the umpiring in a subtle way that he can't get fined. That he
I like it.
wasn't happy with that. So
Yeah, and I did listen to the show you love, Fireball. Kane and Kingy had Andrew Dillon on. Guess how the umpiring's going this year?
fantastic.
Yeah,
They've been better.
That's his words from the CEO or whatever he's called of the
Yeah, they
AFL.
threw him a few softballs too, which
Yeah,
really poor.
Well, we'll invite him on here. He won't get softballs here. Let me tell you.
No, he won't. Right, I think let's discuss this because we haven't really made a decision, but I think Daniel should be on the watch list.
Right, why are you putting him on there?
Well, I just think
It's not because he can't get the ball.
No, it's not.
It's not because...
But his numbers are inflated anyway.
He's defending as well as he ever has.
But he's not effective with ball in hand.
So it's... Yeah,
There's
okay.
too many uncontested turnovers, I believe. Look, it's your segment, so it's up to you at the end of the day. And it also doesn't help that we gave up a really good draft pick for him as well.
Well, you go on the watch list for being underperforming to what expectations are. So obviously, different expectations for different players. So I'd expected... He's doing what I'd expected. His ball use is probably below what I expect.
But his numbers are inflated. He gets a lot of kick-ins, a lot of handball
Which
receipts.
we expected.
Yeah. But he's not having that piercing, changing direction through the middle 45 kicks.
Yeah, I agree. He's on.
He's on, right. Very good. Before we get to our listener questions...
It's not good that he's on. We don't want anyone on the watch list, and when we're a good team, there'll be hardly anyone on. That's what we hope. We haven't had this pod going when we've been a good team, but...
We've never had anyone on the watch list in the AFLW.
Correct. So I think that says enough. Undefeated. Undisputed. Champions of the world.
Exactly. Right, before we get into our listener questions, which there is plenty, so thanks everyone for sending those in. We'll continue our Guernsey numbers, episode 126 today. So I'll go first, the number 26. This man I didn't get to see a lot of, sort of in my earliest footy memories saw him play, but he's had a big impact on me because my second favourite sport outside of AFL is NFL. Now, the man is Sav Rocker, former North Melbourne Shinboner, great player, obviously across his time at North and Collingwood. But when I first got interested in NFL, he was a punter for the Philadelphia Eagles, which is my side because of that. And has been the only sporting franchise that I've followed outside of the North Girls that have had any sort of success. So
Yes,
big
two-time,
tick
aren't they?
to Sav. Yes, the two-time in the last 8 years. They've won 2 Super Bowls. So, Sav Rocker as well. And what a player. We've got to give him his flowers as well for the player he was on field, not just his post-AFL career, but booming kick. Was a great acquisition for North.
Yes, and I'll own up. I'll put my hand up because we're an honest pod here. We tell it how it is. And I watch, I love the draft. And I was watching the draft, had my car keys in my hand, and it was... Yes. Oh! It was pick 30, I think it was, and Sav Rocker, and I've hurled them on the floor, not happy, Jan. Not happy.
Who'd you want? Do you remember?
I can't remember. I cannot remember. It was too long ago. But I'll put my hand up, got it wrong. He was good for us. He was good.
And just a follow-up for the NFL fans out there, I'm so glad that I didn't try and choose to follow a team when he was at Washington, because they've been...
They're horrendous.
Shizen.
The Generals.
Yeah. What? No, the Commanders.
The Commanders.
They
They
were
were the Generals. Were they the Generals?
Yeah, they're the Generals in another sport. Maybe hockey?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, shout out to Luke Parker as well.
Yes, probably hasn't quite got the runs on the board enough. Right. Mine is probably a little bit controversial because it's our favourite player and not the best player. So I've gone the big Russian, Alex Lashenko. Played 70 games from 92 to 95, and just from memory, before he came, we didn't have a great ruck. And he was serviceable. He was a bit in the X mould, if you like, just a bit of a bully, bit of a, not the high leaping. We got that when Corey McKernan came on, but just a big Russian lad who did his best, got the hard ball down, and at least halved the contest for us. So I was happy with him. And
hang on, before you move on, just on X, it just reminded me then when you were talking about him. When English came up to check on him, I'm not a lip reader, but I think he told him to F off.
Yeah, because he's a freaking competitor. You little pussy boy. I better not say that. You just piss off. And then I think Libba came up to check on him too, and Pink got in the way.
Yeah.
Said, get out of it. So, look, well done for them for caring about the most important players' welfare, but he's a competitor.
Yeah.
I want your
I'm not your friend.
Yeah, go away. We'll shake hands at the end of the game, but we're not there yet, so piss off.
Yeah, that's good. Now, who's unlucky for you for the 26th?
Yeah, Peter Bell, apologies, came over from Free. I was very happy with that. I
didn't throw the car keys?
No, I said to the Frog, we should look at him before we even got him, because he had one game at Freo, and quite often with start-up franchises or bottom teams where they throw out, there's a bit of treasure in the trash they throw out, and I thought he could be good, and he was right from his first pre-season game. I think he kicked 5, and I remember Dermot saying on the analysis, they're cheapies out the back and whatever, but he became a 2-time premiership player, Sid Barker, and was probably unlucky in 99 not to get the norm. He was right, he was on the podium, but then he went to Freo, so for about 1,000 McDonald's franchises, I think, so he dropped out. We forgot a segment, the true Shimboner. Who are we nominating this week? Well, I think you, off air, we were talking and you had a couple. I'll go first. I think Nick Larkey for playing through the pain of, or the discomfort of his knee. Hopefully he gets up next week.
I think Constanti for that chase that I mentioned in the first. Will Dawson for his spear tackle on that filth. Vandermeer, I forgot to mention that.
Oh, didn't we love that?
Drilled him.
Yes.
And I reckon the 16 other clubs would have loved it because he's as big a shit talker on the field as they come.
Yeah.
Latham.
Yeah, and I'm glad the umpire didn't blow his whistle because it is a man's game and you're allowed to tackle hard. Anyway, is that who we're settling on?
Disco as well. Going back with the flight for that in front of Darcy. But I think Larkey's probably the right choice for.
I think Larkey for this week.
We celebrate the other players for playing through injury, and he's not exactly the toughest of players, Big Silv, but he did what he had to do. You wouldn't say he's head over like a Cunnington or a Sherry, but he's a leader and he did what he needed to do.
Yeah, well done, Nick.
I've tried to pump him up there and just clipped him.
So I know.
Apologies, Nick.
Yeah, I thought he goes all right. He's standard AFL.
He doesn't shirk a contest.
No, he doesn't.
But
And he gets crunched a bit, especially early days when we kicked every ball to him. He was competing against 2 or 3.
Yeah, I've rescinded that. I apologise.
Yeah, you're right. You're off there.
Yeah.
You're back on the watch list.
Right. Let's get into some listener questions. Thanks again, everyone, for sending them in. We got bombarded. We love it. It's a favourite part of the pod.
Yep. Let's just know someone's listening out there.
Yeah, this is... Well, we've got lots.
I know.
We've got lots, Chief.
Yeah, we love them.
Let's get into it. I reckon there's 30 questions alone about Caleb Daniel and whether he keeps his spot. So I'm going to throw to you, yes or no.
Well, who's available to come in?
Well, one of the listeners here has said, Mark loves beer. Not a question, but I think Boomer Jr. stays in and Daniel out.
I don't mind it, but who's available to come in? Because good news, Goda played a half, I think.
Looked good. I watched the first quarter and a half and he looked good.
Yeah, he looked tall, didn't he? Well, which is what we need, a tall backman.
He didn't look slow either.
So I think, Elmax will come in, shouldn't he? Or is he a 2?
Well, it's an AC joint.
He wanted to play.
Yeah, that's CCC stuff.
Oh, it is. But I'm glad they didn't because we want to win. I mean, it's a big occasion, but you're either fit or you're not. So I think when Elmax's ready to come back, maybe CD's out. I'd keep little Boomer, Junior Boomer. Does that answer the question?
It does.
What are your thoughts?
Well, if Archer was right, which I said to you off air before the VFL played, I'd be bringing Archer in for it.
Yeah, absolutely. But he's not right.
He's not.
What did he do? Hammy?
No, he's in a moonbird. I think it's an ankle.
He's
so
got no
it's probably season over, to be honest. If it's any sort of syndesmosis or...
Oh, your man Elvis is back running around the 2s.
Yeah, he needs another couple.
Yeah.
I think...
Just so, can we say, for those who don't follow the VFL, we lost by about 16, and the Bulldogs are second on the ladder. So it was, I suppose we hate this word, it was an honourable loss, particularly seeing we had a lot of players out of the AFL, so therefore you lose them out of the VFL.
Yes, next up, BG Parker 21. Are we the only club that doesn't pay the umps or something? Always killing our momentum.
Yeah, we don't want to be an umpire potting pod, but since we've been doing it, they've done us no favours.
Well, we're outclassed by the Dogs, but it didn't help that when you're taking
you need everything
Mark's 20 out and they're not paying them.
Yeah, you need everything going your way.
Tory Boy says, got shivers from Pagan's Rev Up. It's definitely got the boys going. Scott, Coop and Moose, big pluses.
Yeah, particularly Moose, I'd say, out of those. Just the stat, he doesn't jump off the stat sheet, but he's competitiveness in the air, brings the ball to ground, gives us a chance, not getting outmarked.
Lots of questions here about Zane Dersma, right? So let's go to Jonathan here. He says, Zane Dersma disgruntled. I'm disgruntled that he's on the list.
Oh, that's harsh.
Now, he didn't do much. He had one good passage of play with the ball, and he had a good kick inside 50 to PC as well, but he's just not getting the ball.
Well, he was playing full forward for a bit when Larkey was off, getting assessed and no doubt extra rotations for him.
I think the thing with Zane is we all know the talent that he has, and we mentioned before with Colby, when you're in under 18s dominating, you're getting the ball, you're not having to probably be as defensively accountable as other players in the side. But the thing I want to see from Zane is I just don't see the desire. And Dennis really in the pre-game mentioned that a lot. And he just... I don't know whether it's the sort of player he is that he just sort of floats around, but he doesn't really look like he's gut running at any stage, does he?
No.
So I want to see... I couldn't give a stuff about how much he has the ball because he's going to get the ball and he's going to use it pretty well when he gets it. I think the KPI with him is he's got to apply more forward pressure, more tackles, and a lot more chasing. I think that's the sort of issue with Zane's game at the moment for me. But he did spend time there. I also saw him lining up on the wing. Getting more of the footy will come. It's the defensive side of his game that I want to see him really improve.
Yeah, the intensity, I suppose. And not everyone's, just naturally intense and competitive. But, he's got to probably improve that. And he has got bad shoulders, I think. Yeah. They're going to have to be...
And he had a limited pre-season too, which often gets overlooked.
Yeah, due to the shoulders, I think, wasn't it? So, hopefully next year will be the year he bounces.
Yeah, and he's playing that hard position that we mentioned as well. But there's definitely a lot of room for improvement there. I'm not selling him, and I've seen lots of people wanting him trade. Like he's gonna be a slower burn. Not everyone's a McKercher and a Sheasel.
Yeah, that's right. And he's got the talent.
I reckon there's 70 plus questions on the umpiring, which we've touched on. We don't want to be,
we don't want to be that pod, but yeah, if they could improve. And Andrew Dillon, it's not perfect. No, it's not going well. But I think you could ask every fan base, and obviously every fan base sees it through their one eye.
But even neutrals watching the game.
Yeah, exactly. And you watch other games and you think, gee, they've missed that, or that's rubbish.
And they're always going to miss stuff. But that mark, there's 4 umpires out there, not one of them have called it.
Yeah.
So come on,
mark or front on contact. And they've missed some horrendous front on contacts where people have been flattened.
Yeah. Next up, we've got Todd Bond with an interesting question here. He says, is the Caleb Daniel trade the worst of Brady's reign?
Well, you went through them last year. I can't remember what...
I reckon, because the Fisher one for pick 19 or whatever it was...
We got something back, though.
We did. We only slid down a couple, and we had to trade it anyway. The
Yes.
Dylan Stevens one's looking good. The only thing with Daniel I will say is, maybe he's like Stevens, where he'll have a really good second year.
Yeah. Well, let's hope so.
Let's hope so, because he's contracted for a long time.
Yeah, but he's...
And so is Fisher
it's
and so is
hard
Logue.
because it's not like Stevens who couldn't get the ball. It's not like, I know we didn't trade for Bailey Scott, but as an example, early this year, he could not get the ball. Daniel's getting the ball, but he's not damaging with the ball. Agreed? Is that sum it up?
Agreed. Another one here from Kieran, who wants to talk about Caleb Daniel as well. We cannot have Daniel, McKercher and Hardiman in the back line. Daniel is such a liability defending, and Hardiman and McKercher are better users. If Archer or Elmac are fit, they have to come in for Daniel and leave Cooper in.
And hopefully Goda probably more next year. Well, he's a great hope, isn't he? I mean, he's proven nothing, but we've seen what he could become.
I would rather, in the back half of the year, the remaining 8 games, just thinking out loud, I'd rather see Zane Dersma trying to get playoff halfback than Caleb Daniel.
Yeah. Make it... and
because you're talking about that height that we're missing with Goda. What's Zane? 191?
Yeah.
He's got a fantastic jump. We've seen that's been worked for Sheasel, McKercher, Foss. I mean, they're different players. But maybe he's the sort of player who needs a bit of confidence, get the ball in his hand, because he's a pretty good user.
Yeah, put him...
He did it.
He'd probably have to try in the VFL first.
We did it for a week in the twos.
You know who's done it in the VFL until he got injured?
Eddie.
Yes. So maybe bring him in. But are they too committed? Because it's a 4-year deal and the trade, then they just think they're going to have egg on their face. I don't care. We've got egg on our face sitting in bloody 16th on the ladder.
Yeah. Lots of questions here about Will Phillips as well and what we made of his game. I mean, I've touched on it a little bit. I thought he was serviceable. Just in that first quarter and a half, he just didn't lay the tackles that he needed to.
No.
Too many missed tackles.
And probably wasn't quite as clean as we'd expect, which is his one would have been clean below his knees. He had about mid-teens stats. He's never going to be a really high, I don't think. Not while we're trying to hit it to LDU. But I know LDU missed three and a bit quarters. So it's a bit disappointing, really, overall. But it's hard. There's a lot of pressure on him coming in, and he's just got to perform.
Yeah.
That's AFL football.
Nicholas Ed Pascoe here says, do you think Will Phil did enough to keep his spot?
Yeah, he will, because LDU is going to miss.
Yeah, even if Parker comes in.
Yeah.
Like we said before.
They're a bit like for like, and there's no George. So
there's no way he's playing George.
No, that's what I mean. So you can carry two of the three, as in Parker, George, and Will Phil. I don't think you can carry all three in the same team. Stephen
Fenton, Shotgun is going to be our rock for the next 15 years. Isn't even 20 and has some mongrel about him. That's what we love.
Yeah.
He and Codman are going to hurt many forward lines for years to come.
Yep.
Couldn't agree more.
That summed it up.
Lots of the similar sort of questions, so thanks for everyone for sending them in here. But thoughts on Griffin Logue? Does he stay in the side or does he need to make way?
Well, I think he'll make way, but who's coming in?
Well, I think he makes way if Chom's good to go. Then
yeah,
that's the obvious one there.
Yes.
Sorry, I thought you were going then.
No, I was going to say, well, hopefully Chom will come in next week.
Got a few questions.
Although Melbourne haven't got a tall forward line, have they?
No.
Is Van Ruin back?
He is this week, yeah. But Petty's out, so
yeah.
They usually only play the two talls.
Yep.
Question here about Geordie Payne and Zach Banch. When do they get a look in?
Well, he had some stats about Geordie.
Well, he had 17 tackles yesterday and kicked 2 goals. And I heard that he was off for a HIA as well. So that's 20 minutes. So there's 20 minutes extra that he didn't play.
So he would have got it well into the 20s with his tackles, you'd think.
I wouldn't be shocked if they, on the bigger MCG, they bring in a Banch or a Payne alongside Constanti.
Yeah,
to play the 2 pressure forwards, whether that means Hanson Jr. misses out or someone along that line. It'd be interesting to see.
But then we like his ball use, if he can get it enough on the wider MCG. So, yeah, it's a decision to be made, but I wouldn't mind seeing either of them get a crack. But you can't. I think Sandy was one of his better games, like playing that defensive role on Dale, beat him. Agreed?
Agreed.
So I don't think he's making room.
The North Merchant on X says, thoughts on Scott's game? For me, saw a bit of the old run and carry back, but his decision-making still lets him down. Well, I think, couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I think you've summed that up.
Summed that up beautifully.
Lots of questions about Tommy Powell here. What are your thoughts on... Like, he had high disposal. He had those couple of poor moments, which is not a theme for him at all. I don't think you can ever question his toughness. It's just his boot sponsor that I question most of all. But I thought he was all right. Like, he's one who definitely relies on not being the number one. And when LDU went down, he had to sort of take more of those responsibilities. And then we mentioned the work that he did on Bont as well as Willfield as well. So
yeah, so I think he was better than serviceable, like the good side of serviceable, but he did have a couple of turnovers. But so most of the team. I mean, that is AFL football. The whole point of it, or the whole, everyone sets up to score off turnover. So, you know, the pressure, you just got to turn it over as deep as you can, I think. And that's when we've played well, when we've turned it over in the last line defence rather than in the midfield.
Yeah.
Or early days, we're turning over our half forward line, or our half back line. Their half forward line.
Oh, here's an interesting one here. All right, could get us in a bit of trouble. But Russo says, crowd numbers a bit disappointing. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought that. And I was watching, obviously, on TV, because I couldn't get the flight after Dennis's inspiring speech.
I thought you would have swam across the Bass Strait.
Well, just about. It was, they were all sold out, the flights. Anyway, no, seriously, watching, and I think most of the upper deck was shut. Maybe behind the goals there were some. So I thought that was a bit disappointing. I thought 25,000. I know Thursday night probably doesn't suit everyone, but we've got 50,000 members. I know all the members can't go. and some
Like us.
live interstate or a long way from Victoria. Melbourne.
Or sign their dogs up.
Yeah. But yeah, 25 and playing another Victorian team. You think the Dogs would have brought?
Well, they didn't bring many.
No, I think that was the problem.
Just
They need to bring 10 or 12.
Yeah.
And they brought the cheer squad, and that was probably it.
Well, they should have played Essendon.
Yeah,
Would have been ideal.
Well, it would have been great if we'd played them twice this year because they're
Shizing.
they're shizing. They got no one.
But to tell you what, it was loud when the bullshit chants were going. That was brilliant.
Yeah, no, the crowd sounded good, but it was just a bit disappointing we didn't get mid-30s.
I would have liked it. It should have been a Friday night game.
Yeah, should have.
Well, Kingy was saying on radio that he really hoped there was a Saturday game, but I can understand the club.
It wouldn't be on 7
Yeah,
then.
you want
That's
the game
problem.
on 7.
Yeah,
So I don't.
You got to get out to the most eyes possible for free.
So I don't begrudge the club for that, but I think Friday night would have been better for, people coming from country Victoria that have to get back to work for the Friday, for a Thursday night game.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, it was disappointing.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see 30 plus.
Yeah.
Because we cooked the Saints and the Dogs on this pod for getting 20 a couple of Thursday nights ago, and then 25 from us.
So I thought, to sum it up, I don't think we're getting any home Thursdays anymore.
No, wouldn't have thought so. But it's been a common trend, Thursday nights at Marvel.
Yeah.
They don't get big crowds. And it's a TV product. But
Yeah, it is.
Still disappointing. Matt says, when did Troy Pennell get out of jail? Do you know who he is?
Well, he's the umpire, is he?
He's the umpire that did the fraud. He came out and did fraud and must have got cashies for the Dogs. He didn't actually, but bit of a gag there. It went over your head, but anyway.
Yeah.
Right, I think that's just about us. There's lots of... I reckon, no bullshit aside, there's at least 60 questions about Caleb Daniel. So hopefully we've done our best to sort of talk about that. Well, there will be a lot more conversation from us around him and a few others when we get to our preview pod on Thursday with team selection.
Yeah, when we know who's maybe available to come in.
Yeah, that's going to be the big thing with CD, isn't it?
Yep.
And I think your point you raised around whether they keep playing... Like, if he was out of contract at the end of this year or next year, I think he's already been dropped. But I think it's a good point you raised that, it's a 4-year deal. So do they almost feel like they have to try and get a bit out of him with other players who have been dropped on long-term deals in Logue and then Zach Fisher as well, and then Disco would have worried them before this year as well. So probably stop giving 5 years to fringe players. I mean, Daniel's not a fringe player, but...
Well, he was at the Dogs. That's the point. The Dogs got rid of him, and look what they've brought in younger, faster players. And now we've got him for 4 years doing what we know he can do well, but he's not doing it as well because he's missing those kicks.
I will say, actually, I apologise to the listener who sent it in because I can't find it now, but I saw that one of them was sitting behind the goals and said that he actually did a lot of really good setup work behind and leadership from the back line, which without Elmac would have been important. So I will... I need to be a balanced review, so I will say that obviously we weren't there, but from what this listener's perspective,
you don't see that on TV, unfortunately, and maybe Griff Logue was doing the same because he'd have been the senior.
He was doing it while Norton was leading.
Yeah, but to be balanced, I'm saying it'd be interesting if he was giving leadership as well down there, but yeah, you can't just be pointing. You've actually got to man your own man up at some stage.
One more before we go. Bench or Payne? If you had to pick one, who are you playing?
Payne.
Payne for me too.
If you get 17 odd tackles or whatever you said in 3.5 quarters, bring him in.
Yep, I agree. Right, that's about us. Thank you once again. Make sure you subscribed on YouTube. Our giveaway not far away. I think we're 20 away, Chief. So once we hit 500 subscribers, we'll be giving a random subscriber a merch pack for free. So make sure you're subscribed on there. And for those who have followed on Spotify and Apple, a huge thank you to you. We don't actually have access to who it is, so we can't do a giveaway on there, but we appreciate you nonetheless. Make sure you've got your notification bell on so you never miss an episode when we drop. And
don't have it on during the pod, though, or you'll be on the watch list.
Yeah.
That's a shot at myself.
That is. We'll be back to preview a very winnable game next Sunday where hopefully we get a few soldiers back to take on the D's at the MCG.
Undefeated.
Yeah.
This year, the G.
We're going to go for a 3-0.
Yep.
That'll be our last game at the G, so hope we need Big X playing.
Yes.
But we'll touch on that a bit more when we know a bit more later on this week for our preview pod.
Yep. Okay, bye from me and Kangas.
Thanks, guys. Talk soon.
Gurus.
Good old North Melbourne, they're champions, you'll agree. North Melbourne is the team that plays to win for you and me.